Welcome to Ingå. This guided tour consists of two parts: Ingå Past and Present and Gammelgården Homestead Museum. This tour has been funded by Västnyländska Kultursamfundet as an EU project. Ingå. Ingå or Ingå stretches from the southern end of the Lojo Hills down to the Porkala Bay and the open sea. The coastline is dotted by numerous skerries and small islands forming in the southwest to Baresund Archipelago, one of the most spectacular pearls of the western Uusimaa landscape. There are a large number of cabins and cottages in the municipality, and in the summer the population of around 6,000 doubles many times over. Around half of the residents live in the village at the mouth of the Ingå stream. In the summertime one has many restaurants and cafes to choose between, including those in the shopping centre at the harbour for small vessels, which was opened by twice Rally World Champion Marcus Grönholm in 2007. Other attractions in Ingå Centre include the Homestead Museum Gammelgården, which was set up in 1936 and today comprises 20 or so vernacular buildings with appropriate contents. The museum lies directly across the stream from the church. Ingå has been settled since the Stone Age. At Elisjöskatan in the Baresund archipelago, probably the country's most southerly settlement from this age can be found. It's about 5,500 years old. The oldest recorded event in Finland's history may well be Viking King St. Olaf's raid on Ingå around 1008. According to the Icelandic bard Snorre Sturlason, King Olaf and his men went ashore near a village called Herdalar. This was supposedly somewhere along the Gulf of Finland's northern coast, which at that time was known as Bolagårdssidan. Herdalar is thought to be present-day Hirdal, lying directly south of Fagervik. Olaf and his troops landed with the intention of looting the village of its riches, but the inhabitants got wind of the Norwegians coming, emptied the settlement, and waited in ambush in the woods. When Olaf's army turned back from the deserted settlement, the Herdala inhabitants attacked, and many of Olaf's men were killed or wounded as they fled towards their ships. At the beginning of the 13th century, the rate of Swedish immigration increased, but it was not until 1335 that Ingå was first mentioned in the history books. The existing grey stone church was built around 1500. Just a few years later it was plundered by the Danes, who wrought havoc along the western Uusimaa coast during the unsettled years of the Kalmar Union. The Fagervik ironworks, which was founded in 1646, developed in the 18th century to become one of the country's most important, largely thanks to its monopoly within the Swedish realm of the production of tin plate. When Russia gained power in Finland in 1809, the business began an inevitable decline, and it was finally closed in 1903. It is said that Finland's first potatoes were cultivated in Fagervik. Soldiers returning home from the Pomeranian War in the middle of the 18th century apparently brought them with them. For this reason, Ingå today is known as the Potato Municipality, and it's well worthwhile tasting the local speciality, potato porridge. Idyllic Fagervik, with its fallen red wooden church and the yellow stone manor house looking out over the lake Bruksträsket, is one of the country's best preserved 18th century environments. The village lies on the southern stretch of the medieval King's Highway between Åbo and Viborg, and the section of the road that passes through the ironworks has gained the status of a museum road. From Fagervik, another road runs down to Baresund. At its end one can view the narrow sound through which hundreds of pleasure boats pass every summer day. During the Russian war at the end of the 18th century, there was a sea battle that took place in the sound alongside Elisjöskatan. In the autumn of 1789, a 17-strong Russian fleet attempted to force the sound, which was defended by Swedish ships and artillery. The Russian objective was to force a way through to Baresund and cut off the coastal route for the Swedish army transport. Fagervik too was threatened in the attack. In the event, the Russian forces were too strong and the defenders had to give way. The Swedes then received reinforcements from Gustav Maurits Armfelt, who, with 500 men, attacked the Russians and drove them away. Finland-born Armfelt was one of our most influential historical figures, and was friends with both Gustavus III during the Swedish period and with Alexander I under the Russians. Two mass graves from the bloody confrontations of the 20th century can today be found in Ingå. Near Västankvarn Agricultural School, a monument was raised in 1952 over a mass grave from the Civil War of 1918. It is the final resting place for the majority of a total of 62 executed Red Guard soldiers. The monument is the work of Aimo Tukiainen, the same artist who created the statue of Field Marshal Mannerheim in Helsinki. A road sign on Route 51 points the way to this isolated spot. A second mass grave from the Second World War may be found at Fagerö. Today only a few rose bushes bear witness to the German soldiers who died in these waters in December 1944, when two destroyers with just under 600 men on board ran foul of mines. The remains have been moved to German soldiers' cemetery in Honkanomi in Vantaa, where 201 victims of the Fagerö catastrophe now rest. Further east along Route 51 one arrives at Degerby, the second largest village in Ingå. A wooden church from 1747 stood here until 1932, when it was replaced by a stone church drawn by Bertel Liljeqvist. The church sustained considerable damage, however, in the years following 1944, when Degerby municipality was annexed to the Porkkala area, leased to the Soviet Union for 50 years. Soviet troops withdrew from the area in 1956, however, but Degerby municipality was not reinstated. Instead, it became a part of the municipality of Ingå. Today, the Degerby Igor Museum recalls and records the history of the Soviet naval base.